They are off to an 0-2 start for the second time under John Harbaugh. Just the second time, okay? They also started 0-2 in 2015, ended up going 5-11. So that makes Sunday's game against the Cowboys a must-win of sorts for Baltimore. Just 6 of the 247 teams to start 0-3 in the Super Bowl era have made the playoffs. So basically 98% of 0-3 teams miss the postseason. You don't want to go 0-3. The last team to make it was the 2018 Texans. Just one 0-3 team actually won a playoff game. That was the 1992 Chargers. Dan, what is your biggest concern about the Ravens right now?
They're not handling people at the line of scrimmage the appropriate way. They allowed Max Crosby to, I think, win AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And if they treat Micah Parsons the way that they did Max Crosby, they're going to lose this football game as well. Max Crosby lined up at the right number one. Baltimore, you're not going to be able to gap scheme towards Micah Parsons. He's going to do that same stuff, understanding it's Derrick Henry in the backfield. Play's going to get blown up. You can't pull people towards Micah Parsons. Second of all, you can't down block one-on-one versus these elite edge guys. Micah's going to do the same thing. Max just gets upfield, blows up the play, 5-yard loss. Again, Derrick Henry in the backfield. Now watch what Max does. This little shrink down. Again, as the motion, they're trying to one block Max Crosby with Isaiah Likely. You're not going to be able to do that to Micah Parsons. So I think this is a little bit attached to when Derrick Henry is in the backfield on first and second downs, and he is in what we call like the dot position or the home, meaning directly lined up behind the quarterback in the gun in the pistol or underneath. They're likely to run the football there. Micah Parsons is going to have tells. They got to handle and have a plan for those elite edge guys in the pass and the run game much better.
Yeah, I think that's some of that is a symptom of like what they probably feel like they're lacking on the offensive line. We know they had a lot of changes. That was the big question for the Ravens coming in. What is this offensive line going to look like? Interior offensive line play for the Ravens has been bad
not
this
what
year.
It's what we're used to.
It's not what we're used to in the pass game or the run game. I believe Derrick Henry, they're 26th in yards before contact.
Yeah.
They're 29th in pressures. Like, this is a offensive line that is figuring it out. The good thing about that is you're facing a team in the Cowboys who is also vulnerable defensively in the running game and at that D tackle position. So you have an opportunity for Harbaugh, who they've been put to task about Daniel Falele and if he needs to be replaced. He has not played well. They've gone against Chris Jones. They've gone against the defensive line with Matt Crosby.
I think the Cowboys' defensive line matches up well with Baltimore's offensive line for Dallas.
So we can see. You think for Dallas?
Yeah,
because of Micah?
The quickness. Yeah. I think the Ravens' offensive line struggles with that quickness, that sudden movement, that quick stem, and struggles with those double teams. The Ravens' offensive line struggles with that stuff. It's the strength of the Cowboys.
I agree. I think we'll see Roger Rosengarten, too. He's a lot quicker and can get off the line very quickly, and that kind of helps mitigate some of that for the Cowboys. So we'll see this week whether or not what they have going right now at the offensive line will work going forward. Otherwise, I bet we'll see changes.
My issue with the Baltimore Ravens is you just talked about Max Crosby. They went against a Raiders team, and they allowed Max Crosby and Davante Adams to beat you. Like, you can't go into a game and let the two best players beat you. It was Chris Jones in week one, and their inability to finish games. They've lost 11 games since 2020 when they've had a 7+ point lead in the fourth quarter. And some of that has to do with the secondary. I've been disappointed in the way they play because, to me, that's a strength of their team. And the defensive side of the ball, you look at it against the Chiefs, they gave up an easy touchdown to Xavier Worthy, just miscommunication. And then in the fourth quarter there, they have the lead, and they allow the Raiders to drive down the field. A lot of that on Marlon Humphrey against Davante Adams, who's one of their best players. So needing your guys to step up when you need them most, I think is important, and they haven't had
it's another thing, watching the Ravens defense, again, different from last year. Mike McDonald, now head coach of Seattle. It was boom or bust when it came to their pass rush. They got home a couple times against Gardner Minshew in their pass game, or they didn't get close to him at all. There was never a rush that kind of just made sure he didn't get outside the pocket and didn't create a big play. It was either a sack or big plays because of the movement that Gardner
Which makes you feel like you had good pressure because you had 2 or 3 sacks, but not,
How much of that secondary stuff is because of the departure of the coaches? McDonald and the secondary coach is now the D coordinator.
Denard Wilson. I think it has something to do with it, but my issue with it is when you still have guys, like you still have Kyle Hamilton, you still have Marcus Williams, you still have Marlon Humphrey, Steve, like you still have your guys still there. It's different when you lose 2 safeties. That's your key communicators. So some of it has to do with coaching, but to me, a lot of it is on the players. Just execute.
Yeah, I mean, to the point of the defense, the Ravens have allowed a 57 QBR this season. That ranks 20th in the NFL. The defense ranked 2nd in QBR last season behind only the Browns. That's how good they were and how different it has. But you guys, they've had a hot start. 2-0, taking on the Broncos this week, by the way. So take that with for what you will. Baker Mayfield has been excellent. What a story he is. He's got back to what made him great while handling the gauntlet of the NFL. Here's Baker speaking with the media today.
2-0 is 2-0, but a lot of ball left. We know last year we started out 3-1 and hit the opposite turn. Doesn't matter what the outside noise is. And so we expected to be playing well at this point, and we expect to continue to play well.
Dan, did that make the air? All right, Baker Mayfield and the Bucs have run a lot more motion so far this year, and the results have been great. We love motion on this show. Baker ranks in the top 3 in QBR, completion percentage, and yards per attempt when using motion this season. All those numbers significantly better than they were last season, as you see there. Hawk, the Bucs offense has looked a lot better than last year. It looked pretty good last year at times. How have they done it?
Well, Baker's settled into this where he's at with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's playing his game. And Baker has always been a risk taker, but because of the what he has on the outside, especially now that Chris Godwin has gotten going and Mike Evans and even McMillan as the wide receiver 3, he's been able to take a lot more chances down the field and feel confident that these are receivers that will make him right, whether it is a short pass and they go for yards after catch, or if they're throwing it contested and it's either going to be a big-time catch or a breakup, and there's very low percentages where it's going to be an interception. That has helped Baker trust what he's seeing and the way that he plays the game and not have to feel like he has to change in order to fit whatever system they're in.
You can't blitz them. I know that. You cannot blitz this offense right now. Chris and Mike look like the guys, I said this since week 1, that they won the Super Bowl with. But if you try to blitz this offense right now, one, because of those receivers, you know, Mike, usually when you're going to blitz, it's one-on-one, then Mike's going to get the ball, or if you're going to try to play some type of middle field open pressure, it's going to be Chris working the hashes and Baker and him. You know, we talk about so much on this show of just seeing it the right way. Those guys are all seeing it at the same level. And when teams blitz them, Baker's just understanding of defense right now has grown so much. I think his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, has done a fantastic job. There's, like, you know this, right? So what they'll do so often is they put Mike by himself. If you're going to play Mike one-on-one, God bless you.
Good luck.
Ain't going to happen.
And if you're not, well, then Chris is going to get work, or McMillan is going to get work. I also think the motion, the under center, the play action, they're
the motion's
basic.
Huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
You look at the Chris Godwin touchdown, and they bring a motion right before the snap, and you have a flat player who runs with the motion, and now he just vacated as Chris Godwin goes on a wheel route. He's wide open for a touchdown. So it's so many things that we used to call eye candy. Make you look at this, look at this, look at this, and then we're hitting you over there. And you mentioned him against the blitz. What was so impressive against the Lions was him being able to make something happen when pressure got to him with his legs, getting outside the pocket, going to his right, making a pass on the sideline. And then we saw him, obviously, where he scrambled, make a guy miss, get down there. Very next play, Liam Cohen calls a QB draw. He scores a touchdown. So I think the confidence that we're seeing in Baker within this system and knowing where everybody is, and to your point, once you've mastered where your guys on offense are, now you can get full understanding of what the defense is trying to do to attack you.
I just want to quickly on the NFC South, as our show ends today, like, we didn't know exactly who was going to be the best team. I know it's early, but now that you think about what we saw from the Falcons Monday night, the Saints have looked really good. Yeah, I mean, where do the Bucs factor in?
Preseason, I thought the Falcons would be the best team. Them in Atlanta, or Tampa. New Orleans absolutely deserves to be in that conversation. I think all 3 of them are really good. They all 3 run the same system. They all 3 have 2 weapons on the perimeter. All their quarterbacks are really good in the play-action game. Like, there's a lot of similarities. I think I trust Tampa's defense maybe just a little bit more because of their blitz packages.
I like the Saints secondary, and like they were running and hitting against Dallas, making plays. But to your point, those 2 teams
I think they handle Philly this weekend, New Orleans.
I like
it's
that.
The same offense that Philly just struggled with.
That'll be
I think
interesting.
the Saints go to 3-0.
Okay. Has called a blitz on 33 opponent dropbacks this season. That's the most in the NFL, and it's been effective. Minnesota has the most sacks, pressures, and QB hits when sending the blitz this season. All right, guys, show us why this defense was so good against the 49ers on Sunday.
Because all those numbers and that pressure from Brian Flores has quarterbacks chasing ghosts. You guys remember Sam Darnold, Monday Night Football?
I was out there.
In many ways, yes, you were. The foundation of this defense that he's running in Minnesota is exactly what made Sam Darnold Chase goes. So week 1, I want everyone to pay attention to the Vikings here. And so what stands out for me, quarterback-wise, is I get this kind of like umbrella, horseshoe, or half circle type of shell. And then I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys up at the line of scrimmage defensively. And I really have only 5 offensive linemen. So as a quarterback, you're sitting there going, I got to be ready to throw hot, because if any of those guys that are unblocked come, the ball has to come out of my hands. The challenge is you don't know which one of those guys is coming. You don't know which one of those guys is dropping, and you don't know if they're really playing true man-to-man coverage. So again, what stands out to me, I got a stand-up defensive guy. The really only 2 guys that are in their hands the dirt are those 2 defensive tackles. As a quarterback right now, I have to declare to my offensive line, like, hey, we're going to treat that guy as a defensive lineman, that guy's a defensive lineman, and maybe these 3 guys, and then that person's going to be my hot. It's a complete guessing game right now for me as an offense and as a quarterback trying to figure out what the defense is doing.
And the beauty of it is all that stuff you just said about, all right, I'm looking, and you're seeing all of these guys. So the ball has to come out because we don't have enough guys to block them. We know that too. So all these guys in the back end are looking at the quarterback. All of them. They haven't backpedaled. They're all looking to break because they know he has to throw the ball.
So are you telling me that as those guys have vision on the quarterback, they're playing
man to man? They're playing man. He has him. But because the ball has to go out quick, I can see he's going here. Look right here. Cam Bynum's already going that way because if he comes inside, he can make a play on it knowing that the ball has to go out quick.
So they're playing like man technique responsibility
with zone vision.
Eyes?
Exactly.
That's a problem for a quarterback.
Flo installed that in 2018 knowing that.
So here's where it messes up the receiver. So in this slot, if there's blitz, the biggest thing for me with pressure is that I got to get on the same page as the quarterback. I got to see what he sees. So this is why this is so confusing. Right here, I'm going to check this safety, which tells me he's disguising pressure. And I'm like, oh, he's not really coming. He's guarding me because they have a guy over the top.
You're thinking Van Ginkel's dropping.
I'm thinking he's dropping, so I know I'm going to make my move on him to get in the quarterback position. Now watch this. You drop out here. I put so much energy into this. I don't see this guy.
Another dropper.
And now I don't have my avoid move ready, and I'm not able to get in the sight of the quarterback by the time he needs it, so it blows the whole play.
And again, all of that for a 4-man rush.
Only 4 people. And for everybody at home, like these are just X's to us as an offense. We don't really care. We just want to make sure that we're protected up. You can see that Daniel Jones goes to throw the football. Everybody on the offense is not on the same page. And to J-Mac's point, it's a 4-man rush, so there's really 7 guys in coverage. Now let's go to week 2. You're going to see a very similar setup. Here comes that kind of half circle or umbrella shell right there. Now they're going to have 7 guys up at the line of scrimmage defensively because I have 6 guys in the backfield, and I'm going to prepare for that. Now remember, last time we showed you this snap, and end up being that 0 blitz with zone eyes. Ball gets snapped for the San Francisco 49ers. This is diabolical at home, okay? This comes out to being a Tampa 2 defense where you have those 2 safeties responsible for the half. These guys are flat defenders, and here's your middle linebacker run through. That shell-wise is a Tampa 2 defensive structure out of the same exact look that they presented the New York Giants to, and they played that 0 coverage on the back end. Look, you got all those stand-up defensive players. Stand up, stand up, stand up, stand up. Again, that same structure becomes a Tampa 2 defense. That's a problem for us on the offense.
And what's most impressive about this, you can only do this if you have smart players because you just said it looks just like the last one. In order for it to look like that, you have to be matched up with a guy man-to-man. So the only way Brock Purdy's going to believe it, Stephon Gilmore can't be standing over a running back if he's out here. You have to match your guy.
Personnel-wise.
Yes, and now he has to know if I'm the guy here and Harrison Smith is here. Now I become a safety playing the half field, and Harrison Smith is now playing cornerback in the flat. So at all of these positions, we have Josh Metellus, a DB, running through as a middle linebacker. You have to be able to play all the different spots in cover 2, Tampa 2, to be able to run.
The crazy thing for me is if you just lined up Minnesota defensively and Tampa 2, 9 out of 10 times, Brock Purdy's going to hit this in route on time perfectly. Very rarely do you see Brock Purdy hop, frantic, and unknown in the pocket.
Well, to your point, they're disguising the disguise, and so he second guesses himself because right here, there's a throw here. This is the throw he wants to get over.
That's the ball you wanted there because normally this guy's running through and he's square shouldered there.
He's square shoulder, and his feet tell him to throw there. But if you go to the other angle, you see him second guess himself. He'll look this way to say that's the throw, comes back to the end you're talking about.
Chasing ghosts.
And then he realizes, oh, that is the throw, and tries to make it last minute. Watch. Right here, sees the throw, hitches to it, nope. Double checks, that is the throw, and he tries to come back to it. Doesn't get it, doesn't have the arm strength, it doesn't have the timing, and completion on third down.
You know what's another thing? Four-man rush. It's only 4 guys rushing, but somehow they create all those one-on-ones. The analogy I make is it's like playing baseball, and you're going up against the pitcher, and it's an 0-2 count, and he's got a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 100-mile-an-hour curveball, 100-mile-an-hour slider, 99-mile-an-hour changeup, and you're sitting there going, I have no clue what's coming. It's a total guessing game. This is not by mistake. This defense is going to give fits to everybody they play in the NFL this season.
That's going to work well. And by the way, when you're faced with that type of pitcher, close your eyes and swing. That's like Josh Rutledge told me one time. All right, new on NFL Live. Great stuff, you guys. Jordan Love was seen on the practice field today, just 12 days removed from a sprained MCL. He spoke to the media just last hour.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of boxes. Obviously, I think getting back to practice and doing that and just, feeling what it feels like to take those drops, being the live fire, things like that. But like I said, we're taking day by day. The trainer's doing a great job kind of monitoring me, seeing how I'm doing and how I'm reacting to everything. And, they'll be the ones to clear me when the time comes.
Kind of a loud environment in there. Adam, you're back with us. What more can you tell us there with Jordan Love's prospects to play maybe as soon as this week?
Well, Laura, he was listed as a limited participant in today's practice. So clearly the Packers are trying to ease him back in. And it still remains uncertain, if not unlikely, that he's going to be able to play Sunday against the Tennessee Titans. And if he can't play, the team would turn to Malik Willis to start against his former team. When Love initially got hurt, I was told that the timeline was 3 to 4 weeks, which makes it more likely that he returns next week against Minnesota or the week after against the Rams. Meanwhile, Joe Mixon, the Texans running back, did not practice today due to an ankle injury. His backup, Dameon Pierce, also didn't practice due to a hamstring injury. That means that Cam Akers could be in line to have extended work against his former Vikings team on Sunday. If Mixon cannot make it back in time, we'll see what the rest of the week does bring for Joe Mixon, who went down on that play with that particular ankle injury. And the Rams placed a couple of players on injured reserve today, but did not place Cooper Kupp on injured reserve. And right now, the Rams are not planning to place Cooper Kupp on injured reserve. Keep in mind, they have a bye in the next few weeks as well, so they're hoping that he can make it back. I still think he's going to miss multiple weeks. Sean McVay said he expected Cooper Kupp to miss extended time, but it certainly sounds like that they're hopeful that it will be under the 4-game limit that he would be required to miss if he were placed on injured reserve, which right now is not in the plans.
Yeah, that's more promising than what we thought. Yep. Guys here, they're going to try to translate it for all of us. First up, Derek Carr had this to say about his Michael Jackson touchdown celebration.
I'm a dancer in my day, and so don't let the 4 kids fool you. I had to lure their mom in somehow. You know what I mean?
I like it. I like it. So what he's saying is, in the words of Dominique Foxworth, my hips are fine. You catch more bees with honey, and these hips are the hive, everybody. Look, he may not have got no love on the field, but he got plenty of love from his lady. Shout out to you, Derek Carr. Take that step, brother.
My favorite is no one's there with him. Like, he's doing it, but
hey,
like, oh, solo performance.
That's how he was at the parties, too. I could tell. That's how he got Mrs. Carr. I ain't mad at you.
Let's do Lost in Translation.
That one is going to be tough to follow. I got to follow that one.
Yeah, good luck. Here's Mike Tomlin. Here's what he had to say about Russell Wilson getting the game ball against the Broncos last week.
There's just certain things as a leader that I talk to the collective about that I have zero intentions of sharing with the larger public, because it's about our collective and how we come together and how we appreciate and support one another. And, I can't give you all the ingredients to the hot dog. You might not like it.
Don't build off a hall.
Yeah. All right, reset. One, I'm going to get as a T-shirt. I think it's in reference to how the sausage is made type of thing. Couple things. Hot dogs are better on the grill than they are broiled or boiled.
I agree.
I'll give you that. 100%.
Broiled.
2, they're actually at their best when they are cut into small pieces and added into macaroni and cheese.
Ridiculous.
Oh, that's childish.
3, if you really
gosh.
want to have a great hot dog, you grill
That
it,
is
put
disgusting.
a piece of American cheese on the roll, then that, and ketchup.
Wow.
I've never heard of hot dog.
I've never heard of worse ways to eat a hot dog.
Buddy, you never cut up a hot dog and put it in mac and cheese?
Buddy, I haven't.
No, never.
Not even
Buddy, that sounds terrible.
I don't think I've ever even heard of it.
Well,
Dan, you eat like a child. Okay, Dan's
I live an hour from here.
Dan's going to be like the soccer mom bringing in snacks. All right, Tomlin goes up against Jim Harbaugh. I said mom on purpose this weekend, who had this to say when asked about the matchup.
And this week, really, I mean, going to Pittsburgh, you know, the challenge that's going to be. I mean, it's really that is an opener. This is opener against a playoff team. You know, against the Pittsburgh Steelers. How cool! I can remember, you know, being a young kid, and you know, we're playing the team from, you know, Dexter this week, and they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of the Washtenaw County Youth Football League, and you know, we're actually playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, this weekend. So yeah, very on to Pittsburgh. You know, let's find out. Let's find out what we're made of, and you know, as I said, playoff team and opener against playoff opponents this week.
What is happening?
It sounds so confusing, but I know exactly what he means, because they started their season off, they're 2-0. Yeah. But it's like you opened your season, you're playing against UConn, and you got Toledo, and then you turn around game 3. You're like, wow. You're like, my goodness, we have a real opponent, and you're trying to make sure your team is for real, and you're not like the Florida Gators or anything, but you're actually a contender. And
wow. That's weird. That's our compliments was how we were doing
against you and Rutgers. That's weird.
I mean, Toledo beat Mississippi State last week, but
big deal.
Whatever. I guess that's how we're doing it.
I'm right along with you. They're confused, but
you
I'm
got
right
nothing
along
to
with
say
you.
right now. Is Florida.
Florida, we're in a dark place. I don't know what else to say.
Did you
just? Sad.
But you also said UConn's kind of like an NFL team.
Kind of. That's basically.
Kind of was the operative phrase,
like
right?
The Panthers. Because that was the Toledo ain't the Panthers.
He talked about the Washtenaw County team, so it just depends upon perspective.
I didn't know what it looked like. He traded like bodies with somebody
to a whole nother.
And it was the first time that person had ever been in a press conference trying to act as if
he was trying to land the plane, but just couldn't find the runway. Let's stick with the Chargers here and talk about the team, which looks really good. J.K. Dobbins has averaged 9.9 yards per rush this season. That's the 3rd highest in a team's first 2 games of a season in NFL history, trailing only Hall of Famer Jim Brown in 1963 and C.J. Spiller with the Bills in 2012. Dobbins is averaging 5.8 yards before contact per rush so far this season. I think that part's really important too. Jason, are you surprised that this Greg Roman run scheme has worked so well for the Chargers?
I am for the Chargers in the sense of Greg Roman has been fantastic everywhere he's been of implementing his run scheme. But you look at some of the quarterbacks that he's done that with, and we see guys like Lamar Jackson. We see guys like Colin Kaepernick. We see guys like Tyrod Taylor in Buffalo. So then you insert Justin Herbert, and I looked at it and I'm like, well, we've watched Justin Herbert just set the league on fire with all the passing records and things he's done. What is this going to look like? And J.K. Dobbins has been running a while. When you're up there and you see the name Jim Brown mentioned with something you've started off in this season, you know you're on the right track.
When Harbaugh got hired and then hired Greg Roman, his statement was, can you imagine Justin Herbert with a good run game?
Yeah.
And what you're seeing now, even through 2 weeks, is simply teams are starting to bring another safety down to the line of scrimmage, and it's very simply making one-on-ones easier. 2 safeties to snap, pre-start, orbit motion, and then that backside safety drops down. This is pitch and catch for Justin Herbert. 1, 2, 3, he realizes safety in middle of field. I essentially have a bunch of one-on-ones. Ladd McConkey, inside slant, easy 8-yard completion. Now you have 2 safeties, right? I've talked about how they run the football so well. At the snap, those safeties are going to come down because you got to pay attention to that run game. Quentin Johnson, one-on-one, go route, red zone, 1, 2, 3 hitch, ball comes up. Perfect throw from him to the receiver, touchdown. Another opportunity, 2 safeties hanging in the middle of the field. They're going to motion the tight end. Shifts and motions have become a part of this offense. Here comes that orbit motion again. Justin Herbert's going to get single high safety. That safety's going to drop down. They're always buzzing to the boundary against this football team. Look how quickly the ball comes out. We all know that as Hank, meaning that person sits over the ball. Those linebackers split. I think that there's a simple element to their pass game because of the run game, But the best thing, it's given Justin Herbert 2 safeties, we're going to run it. 1 safety, we're going to have easy completions for you, no matter the defense.
Do you guys think they start to explode at some point? Because he's less than 150 yards throwing the ball so far.
I don't think offense is explosive because of the perimeter players. I do think they'll get more chunks, but I don't think they have that receiver that is going to go off for 120 or 30 a game.
I don't think they'll need like that version of what explosive is, but they are definitely going to up what they're doing in the pass game because they're going to have to, because teams are going to adjust to what they're doing in the run game, which is what you want to do for a good quarterback. You want to give them that run game so it's not a necessity to hang on your arm like we've seen from Justin Herbert for so long. Quentin Johnson is a guy I want to give a lot of props to because he had a tough first go-round. We've seen it on social media. We saw the drops. But in the first 2 games, he has definitely quieted all the haters, right? He has been scoring touchdowns. He's been consistent in those drag routes, breaking tackles, making contested catches, and down the field. In the early versions of this season, the Chargers look like they've won the Keenan Allen trade for that reason because they're saying, look, we're changing the way we're playing football, and we're going to make it easier on our quarterback and our wide receivers. This week against the Pittsburgh Steelers could be that opportunity to push it down the field or for Johnston to take one more step.
And I know the Steelers are unapologetically defensively. They are going to play single high safety. They're going to play man coverage, physical man coverage. Then we'll have a little bit more of a better understanding of can they become explosive on offense or not, because that's a good challenge against that Steelers defense.
They have the Chiefs after that, too, so we'll see them against another really good. Start with the Chiefs, and running back Isaiah Pacheco is on IR with his leg injury. Here's Patrick Mahomes today on replacing Pacheco.
The energy that he brings, I mean, the way he runs the football, the way he pops up, he's always positive mindset. That's going to take other guys to step up with. It starts with me. I got to bring that mindset. I got to play better football, put guys in better positions. But at the same time, I have to keep the energy going. And so that's a special thing that Pop does. I don't think one person can do that, have that amount of energy and play that hard. I mean, it really is a special characteristic of him. But I think the whole team can come together and bring that energy in his absence.
Yeah, Jason, how big a deal is it to not have Pacheco out there?
It is big. It's like not having Laura Rutledge and trying to do NFL Live. Pop is a guy, as you heard Mahomes say, the energy in which he brings. Pop gets tackled and he jumps off the ground and he runs back full speed to the huddle. That is juice that he brings to this team. I also think Andy Reid having a weapon like Isaiah Pacheco has forced him to hand the ball off more and incorporate him in the offense, knowing what he can do when he has it. I know they have Chad Steele, Shamaje Perine they picked up after preseason. They've also signed Kareem Hunt. I think those guys are a little bit different for what Isaiah Pacheco brings to the table. They're going to miss the Rutgers product when he's not out there.
Good.
You hear me?
Good.
Also, J-Mac is now my new favorite analyst on NFL Live. All right, to Washington. That's where we go next. The Commanders preparing for Monday Night Football. It doesn't take much, Dan. Jaden Daniels has rushed the ball 26 times this season. He's been contacted on over half of those rushes. The only quarterbacks who have been hit more are Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, and Jalen Hurts. Daniels looked better in the win versus the Giants.
Much better.
How does this offense grow, though?
Yeah, first of all, the hits have to go away. And to your point, much better down the field, seeing how he had or where he had to go with the football. I think 2 things. Number one, they play with a little bit of no huddle. So when they're playing no huddle, they got to be ready for pressure. And then the offense is so perimeter centric. I want to see the pass game work the middle of the field a little bit more. So when they're playing with that tempo, teams in the NFL, they could blitz you even though you're in tempo. So know when you're hot and where to get the ball out, where the answer is to that problem. And then also, again, like I said, their offense pass game-wise is so outside the numbers right now. I want to see them incorporate, even if it's some RPO stuff, work in the middle of the field to try to create more space yards after the catch.
And you think he can do that well?
I think he's capable at 100%. I want to see Cliff Kingsbury be the one to do it.
Interesting. All right, let's go to Buffalo next. Josh Allen and the Bills are preparing for the Jags. Let's hear from Allen now.
When we have opportunities, we'll try to hit on those and try to execute as well as possible. But at this moment right now, if teams want to continue, and I think over the course of the league right now, what defenses are doing, running is in high demand right now for an offensive side of the football. It helps you do a lot of different things. So, that as we continue to run the ball effectively, we'll have more opportunities to hit downfield.
Hawk, we're 2 weeks into the post-Stephon Diggs era in Buffalo. What have you seen so far?
I've seen a quarterback who has evolved past needing a security blanket. And that's what Stephon Diggs was. Whenever he needed instant offense, whenever he needed to make a play, he had a safety valve that he could always go to. Very much like Laura Rutledge on NFL Live. Well,
You're trying to get run points
looking at
too?
a quarterback who has evolved past that. He's letting the play come to him, and there's no better evidence of that than the way he distributes the ball to everybody. Listen, the numbers aren't gaudy, but right now, the Buffalo Bills are as scary as they have been over the last couple of seasons under Josh Allen for that exact reason.
We're so excited to see him on Monday Night Football. Dan and I will be on the call for that game with Chris Fowler out of Green Bay. Adam Schefter is here. Adam, what's going on with Jordan Love?
Well, he's been back at practice today, Laura, for the first time since he hurt his knee in Brazil in that Friday night game against the Eagles. He was wearing a sleeve, a protective device over his knee, and it still is uncertain whether he'll be able to make it back in time for Sunday's game. But clearly he is making progress. Him being out there is a sign of progress. I continue to go back to what I've been told throughout this process, which is that it was a 3 to 4 week injury. And if that is indeed the case in the end, that would mean that it would put him on track to return next week against Minnesota or the week after against the Los Angeles Rams. But the Packers aren't giving up hope yet that somehow he could make it back this week, which would be an incredibly quick and impressive turnaround if he can get it done. He's out there. He's trying. We'll see if he can make it back on Sunday.
Yeah, they play the Titans on Sunday. Adam, Love spoke to the media moments ago. He was asked if he felt the need to rush back, this new on NFL Live.
The run game was on point. I think Malik did a great job, and I think definitely, you look at it, and I think what we did last week, I think gives everybody more confidence, going forward if I'm not clear this week. So I love that. I love that we got the dub, and it's a big confidence boost going forward in this next week.
Dan, this is 12 days after his MCL injury. Any concerns about him getting back out there, even just at practice so soon?
No, not at all. I don't believe he's going to play this weekend, though. I don't think, specifically because of what happened last week, that gives you that grace period to rest him another week. Malik Willis went and played well. They won the football game. They dominated at the line of scrimmage. The run game was as creative and as unique as possible from Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur proved again to be one of the best offensive minds in football. I don't think this means that Jordan Love is going to play. I also don't think that they have to rush him just because you've proven Malik is good enough to keep you afloat. If you run the football and the way that defense played, they're going to be fine another week till Jordan Love is fully healthy.
Let's see this video again. I'm interested what you guys thought. I know he's got the kind of the protective sleeve on the knee. Did he look like he was moving around well enough to be out there?
Look, a very controlled setting, stiff, and he's going out there. I think it's an encouraging sign for Green Bay Packers fans because it's Jordan Love's on the football field already. Right. It's going to be, I assume, Malik Willis that's under center, which I'm excited for because he's making his return to Nashville where he was just traded away from after he was drafted there, and then they drafted a quarterback right after him. So you're excited to see what he's able to do against the Tennessee Titans. But for Jordan Love, just to be out there and be able to take a snap and do something on that leg shows that sooner than later he'll be back out there on the field for them.
Yeah, you want to get out the training room.
Yes.
When you're in that situation and you're hurt, you're like, I want to be back on the field because no matter what, when you have an injury like that and there's such a scare, there's like this purgatory period that when you do get out there, you're kind of peppering it, make sure that it's okay. Well, this allows him to continue to rehab, but also get a jump on that period so that if he's ready to go next week, he's truly ready to go.
And don't forget, this team wants to be playing in January.
Right.
Yeah,
it's a long season. So I know them. They're not going to put him out there until he is fully cleared to be capable of playing and protecting himself.
Interesting to see if it is Malik Willis, how the Titans will adjust after you've seen.
Hey, Las Vegas Raiders fans. Today, I have an exclusive story about the leadership and mental toughness of our quarterback, Gardner Minshew II, and the words of praise that our star receiver, Davante Adams, had for him. If you're interested in learning how Minshew became a key piece in the victory against the Baltimore Ravens, stay until the end because this story will make you appreciate this incredible team even more. It all started in Week 2, when the Raiders faced a tough matchup against the Ravens. The game wasn't looking good when Minshew threw an interception while the team was down 6-3, with just over 5 minutes left in the first half. Things looked tough, but it was at that moment that the team showed its character. Defensive leader Max Crosby did what he does best. He stood by his teammate. Instead of letting the pressure of the game get to Minshew, Crosby cheered him on from the sideline, showing him that the team had his back despite that mistake. From that point on, Minshew focused and slowly led the Raiders to an incredible 26-23 victory over a team as feared as the Ravens. Amazing, right? But it wasn't just Max Crosby behind Minshew. Wide receiver Davante Adams, who took a calmer and more strategic approach, also showed his support. In a recent interview on the show Up and Adams, Davante shared how, after the interception, he simply smiled at Minshew and let him know that everything would be okay. It's a small gesture, but it shows the trust he has in his teammate. Davante was very clear about it. I wasn't worried about him. The guy is one of the mentally strongest people I've ever been around. And this is key, as Adams knows that being a quarterback is not easy, especially in a game as intense as that one. But Minshew, with his mental strength, managed to overcome the difficulties of the game. Many doubted the Raiders' decision to choose Minshew as their starting quarterback for the 2024 season, but after his 276-yard, one-touchdown performance against Baltimore, it is evident that he has what it takes to lead this team to great achievements. And Adams made it very clear, having that mental strength is imperative when you play QB. One week you can have a great game and the next, not so much, but the important thing is how you respond to those difficult moments. Adams also spoke about how Minshew has been able to face critics, even some local journalists who launched negative comments about his performance. But Minshew did not let those words affect him, and he showed that he can rise up in key moments, especially in an environment as hostile as Baltimore. Raiders fans, this win was a testament to the strength and leadership of this team, and Gardner Minshew is proving that he has what it takes to lead us through this season. Now, the question is, do you think Minshew will continue to show that mental toughness in the upcoming games? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any updates on our Raiders. Remember, this team is full of warriors, and with players like Davante Adams and Max Crosby backing up their quarterback, there's no doubt that this season will be an exciting one. See you in the next video, and as always, go Raiders!